Come on in here. Good morning. Say hi. I'm working on my normal sharing that is not doing what it's supposed to do. This is like a normal routine, right? Good morning. How are you guys doing? Come on in here, say hi. Don't be a stranger. Let me know where you're watching me from. How did you find us? What app are you on watching us? And where are you located in America or in the world? Oh, let's go back here. I am so happy that you decided of all things that you could do, you came in here to be with me. And let's edit this. And get all my followers in the room. I tell you one thing I did is yesterday I was actually busy, was on my phone often, and I had so many highlights. Like everybody in mine was highlighting stuff, and I'm like, I just have my opinions about that. But people who are following me know I do Tuesday tea, so you should expect this highlight. But highlighting about like a graduation, I don't know. I guess if I don't like it, I can just unfollow those people and not get their highlights, right? So same for you. All right, let me get this shit. This is giving you time to tag somebody in the room, somebody who feels they need motivation. All right, they need the willpower to move forward and keep going. If you know somebody like that, shout them out, tag them in the room, and get them in here. I am going to share this over to my After the Tuesday Tea group. If you want to be part of my After the Tuesday Tea group, comment After the Tuesday Tea, or just say, I want to be added. I'll get you added over there. I'm going to show you something that I posted in there since we're talking about enemies and how to use them in your favor and not spending a lot of time, mind space, thinking about how they are working against you. I gave my After Tuesday Tea group this 10 types of enemies that are possibly in your circle. And I asked them to identify, like pick out which one of these you currently see as an enemy. So I'm reading from my group. So these are some of the things that you get in After the Tuesday Tea. So after we talk about this, I'll put some things in there to help you keep thinking. And it's good to be in the room with other people who want to improve as well. So it says 10 types of enemies possibly that are in your circle. One form of an enemy is an ex. Another enemy could be an ex-business partner. An enemy could be a relative, family member, mom, dad, or sibling. Somebody who said that you couldn't make it. An enemy could be a manipulator. Have one of those. And another type of enemy is someone who quit on you. Enemy number 6 is somebody that forces things on you. So it could be an institution that forces things on you. It could be a government that forces things on you, or anyone who tells you you better do this or else is an enemy. Bullies can be an enemy. Your ego. Ooh, we pulled out the tea early. Your ego can be an enemy to you. Scarcity mindset can be an enemy. And being content. I was sitting in content. Like I actually went and bought a whiteboard. I went on Facebook Marketplace. Drop number 1 in the comments if you've ever bought anything on Facebook Marketplace. So I went on Facebook Marketplace I actually went on Amazon, saw the price of a large size whiteboard that I wanted. And I was like, let me check for some used one first to see if I get a better deal getting a used one that's in good condition than buying brand new from Amazon. So I got the price for the first brand new one on Amazon. And then I went to the Facebook Marketplace and I found somebody that had it. And when I went to go pick it up, I haven't wiped their board off yet. I've used one side and the other side still has it on. And so on the whiteboard, he said, all bills paid. And it's currently in my garage. I haven't moved the whiteboard out to my office. And I look at that and I was like, that used to be my goal. And it's not my goal anymore. All bills are paid. And since I've hit that goal consistently for so long, I've become content in that goal. I'm just being transparent. All right. In order to hopefully help somebody else. That was the last out of the 10 types of enemies possibly in your circle. That's the last one that really hit home with me because I have content in hitting a goal and not pushing myself or creating an enemy. Who was I listening to? Oh, Success to Succeed. It's S2S, I think is the podcast I was listening to. I actually went to the house of I was invited to a cookout yesterday for the podcast, the person who does the podcast. And so I was listening to his podcast, and he was saying that people, he was talking about enemies, and even in his book, so the book that I'm coming from is Choose Your Enemies Wisely. Choose Your Enemies Wisely was talking about, I think it was Tom Brady, and how he manufactured enemies. All right. And so if there was anybody, which is why I like one of these points, is the enemy could be anything that forces things on you. So your enemy could be the government, or the enemy could be an institution, or anyone who tells you better do this or else, right? And so I need to manufacture an enemy. That's why when I was at this gathering, I was like, so who's the top right now? I need to know who the top is and who their numbers are so I can manufacture an enemy. Them doing better than me is an enemy for me. Not do I have a problem with this person? No, like I appreciate them because they're giving me something to work towards. But in my contentment, I need someone to beat. All right. So I want to talk to you today about will and skill. Somebody dropped that in the comments. Will and skill. In this book, he talks about two different types of categories of the 12 building blocks. And he says one category deals with your emotions, and the other category, if I can go back to this, actually, it's over here in my notes. Let me scroll up my notes because I want to use this correctly. Talking about the audacious, thank you. I see you dropping the will and skill down there. The audacious few have 12 building blocks to be the audacious few. All right. So like at the top of anything, you want to be the top mom, you want to be the top wife, you want to be the top CEO of your business, you want to be the top of your own life, you want to excel, get 25% better than you are right now. I know they say do 1% more every day, which will lead to the end of the month you're doing being 30% better than you were at the beginning of that month. Hashtag goals, working to be 1% better. All right. That is eating one less sweet every day. That is, instead of, if your weakness is chocolate, that doesn't mean on day one you just cold turkey and cut off chocolate, because can you live your life just like that? Probably not. But that means instead of eating the whole muffin, now you buy half a muffin. You eat half a muffin today and half a muffin tomorrow. No muffin on the third day. Okay. So it's 1% better each day. He lists these things as two sides to getting to the audacious few. You have to have a combination of emotion and logic. All right. So I'll show you I took this picture. That's the pyramid right there. Now, this isn't the scheme. We talk about pyramid scheme. This isn't a scheme. This is the pyramid that you want to use to become the audacious few. If you find yourself being stuck in contentment, you want a combination of emotion and logic. Now, on the emotion side is your willpower. And on the logic side is your skill. So I'm going to talk about that just for a little bit. Let's go into aligning the will and the skill. Let's define these two. So skills can be developed through training and practice. That's the T right there. People don't want to train and people don't want to practice. I'll give you a prime example, especially when you have natural born talents. Somebody drop in the comments, everybody drop in the comments, anybody, everybody. What is a natural born skill you have? My daughter is a natural born athlete. It comes easy to her. But what comes easy to her lands her at a contentment of a number 3. Between 3rd and 5th place is where she's going to come in at. On her natural skill. On just showing up as her. On not pushing any further. And so some people would look at me as a parent and be like, she's 3rd in the county. She's 3rd in the state. She's 5th in the county. She's 5th in the state. And I'm like, I'm not content with that for her. That's what she wakes up and rolls out of the bed as. But is she willing to train and practice at a higher level to be number 1? The audacious few. The person who is sitting under place number 1 in the state, place number 1 in the nation, I explain to my child, doesn't even have natural ability. They don't get to roll out the bed, but they are willing, in order to be the audacious few, They are willing to train and practice more than the person who can just roll out the bed and match their skill. Okay, it's okay. It's working with me. Because I am the one who has always been able to roll out of bed and lead. But if I want to be the audacious few, like where I am at in both of my businesses, if I'm just completely honest, I rolled out of bed and got at the top of both of them. But if I want to be more than the top 0.1%, then I have to look and say, for me, skill comes naturally, will not so much, because I'm a natural logic side of the triangle. I am not a natural emotion side. I actually block my emotions to pay more attention to the logic, black and white numbers. And I pay less attention to the will and the emotion side of it. But you have to know yourself. If you are a will person, let me define that. Will or willpower often comes from drive and motivation fueled by your enemies. All right, great. I see everybody dropping in the comments. What comes natural to them? Creativity comes natural to you. Singing comes naturally to you. And I would say this. There are people who are singers. If I could just use singing, thank you, Loretta, for that. Singing an example. And they roll out the bed and they can sing. But they don't become the audacious few because they aren't willing to work on the will. What's the will? The will is drive and motivation. It's like, I can roll out the bed and sing, but I'm not getting booked for anything because I don't have the drive or motivation to learn how to market myself. Oh, it don't mean nothing if you're the best creative person in the world and nobody knows. So then you have to go and get exactly, Trinette, like we have so much in common when it comes to that. Skill comes naturally to me. Discipline comes naturally to me until I get to the point of contentment. And that's what I was saying. Like I'm content right now because all my bills are paid. I don't have any stresses about paying my bills. But right now I want an electric car. And I just can't go out and just buy it. I could go out and just buy and take on another bill. To me, that doesn't make sense. I want to be able to go out and buy this electric car and it not be a concern about, oh, maybe I got to cut back something here, or oh, maybe I can't take the trip there because I decided to get this electric car. No. I want to be able to have my current lifestyle and throw an electric car in the mix. So the enemy is the fact that I can't do that. Now, we've defined will and we defined skill. Let's talk about the internal and external motivations. Because I read this, I was like, ooh, this the T. Y'all ready for it? Internal. When I say these words, you're gonna be like, oh, somebody was like, oh, you stepping on my toes. I'm here to help you. Help you, help me, help me, help you. Here it goes. From this book, this is the book I'm coming from. Choose Your Enemies Wisely. All right, you catch the replay of this on my YouTube at The Christy Farmer. Internal enemies are self-doubt or bad habits. Somebody drop that in the comments. Self-doubt and bad habits. Those are internal enemies. And so when you're like, I don't know what enemy to choose your bad habits as an enemy. Choose to decide to make a plan to get rid of these bad habits. Now, I'm so glad I moved myself over here. I need to put these books in alphabetical order. I put them in color order, but I think alphabetical is going to be better because I don't know what color the book is that I'm about to grab. But I know it started with an A, so it would have helped if it was an ABC order. Atomic Habits. All right. I read Atomic Habits because I needed better habits. You know what my excuse was? I don't have enough time. I want to get better at this, but who has time to get better at this? Who has time to get a new? I read Atomic Habits and I figured out some skills that I needed to work on in order to make time. We all have the same 24 hours. And yet there are people who have the same amount of kids that we have, who have the same amount of business hours they need to work, who have the same husband that requires the same things from you, who have the same family. Like there's people who have these same things, and yet they can add on a business. And yet they can be successful when adding on a business. because they took the time to work on their habits. All right. And I see that Shauna says you make time for the things that you want. And you know what I find is when we talk about fear, we fear the unknown, which is why you have to use the enemy of fear. Actually, I'm gonna quote him on this book right here because he talks about fear. Ooh, this is good right here. Let me quote him. On page, is it 88 or 87? 88. Fear can drive you to do whatever it takes. You need to make 2 sales to hit a quota? Big deal. What happens if you need to make 2 sales to pay for life-saving surgery for your kid? See, it's the reframing, it's the mindset. We look at things differently. Like, we're scared of talking to people about our business, of marketing our skills, of marketing our ability to sing, of marketing our creativity, because these skills don't mean anything. These natural talents we have don't monetize if we're too scared to share them with people. It doesn't, forget about the monetizing. It doesn't help. You really think God gave us these talents for us? Like, I'm not religious, but I know a little bit of the word. I'm a God believer, and I know that he's not a selfish person. I know that do y'all believe this too? That he gave me these talents for someone else, and I'm holding on to these talents in fear. So will is emotional. It's wanting something in a way that you can't describe. I'm asking everyone to get it done. So we have to get past the holding on to these things. So I talked about internal enemies. Your internal enemies can be self-doubt or bad habits. External enemies can be competitors or market obstacles. I can think right now of market obstacles that happened during the pandemic. Oh my gosh, there were so many market obstacles. There was shipping delays if your product was coming from overseas. Those are market obstacles. Market obstacles could be that everybody is winning right now because they are going live on social media, and I'm too scared to do so. That's an external enemy. Is the skill, because we'll say, oh, I'm not good at technology. One thing I say, stop telling you. I tell my daughter all the time, I'm lazy. Stop saying you're lazy. Saying it out loud gives you an excuse to show up in a certain way because you are identifying with laziness. Stop identifying with that. Stop saying I'm lazy. Say you just don't want to do it. Let's just be honest and just say you don't want to do it. But stop saying I'm lazy. You're calling yourself these things, so then you show up in that way. So what's the opposite of lazy? Drop that in the comments for me. What would you call yourself? And it's funny because my 3-year-old is working on opposites. So she was like, laughing is the opposite of crying. Say it, mommy. Laughing is the opposite of crying. And I'm like, laughing is the opposite of crying. I said, so we do. And I had to take it to the next slide. I said, so when we laugh, we're happy. So when we're crying, we're sad. Because happy is the opposite of sad. She's like, no. Laughing is the opposite of crying. She's like, we're not doing that, mommy. But I tell my high schooler that stop calling these things out. Stop saying what you can't do or what you are if it's not positive, because you'll continue showing up in that way. So the external, both types, external and internal, from the book, Choose Your Enemies Wisely, can drive you to strengthen your will and enhancing your skill if, here's the if, approach strategically. Thank you. I like that. I like that word, Trinette. Active. So I would tell her, stop saying you're lazy. Say, I am active. So what do active people do? If you say I'm lazy people don't do this. So what would an active person do in a situation? So then do that. Do what an active person, this was even when she was in elementary school and she would get in trouble for talking. I said, who doesn't get in trouble for talking in your class? She named the kid. I said, so what is that kid doing? Because she's like, well, I'm done with my work, or I did this. I said, are you the only one that's done with your work? No, I'm not. Then who is the other kid who's done with your work who doesn't get in trouble for talking? She names that kid. I said, so when that kid is done with their work, what are they doing that they stay on green and you don't? They're reading a book. I said, bam. So every time you're done with your work, look at that kid and what are they doing? Use them as an example. Do that. I like that, Shauna. Shauna says, write and speak your affirmations as if it's already happening. I think we don't give our mind enough credit for what it does for and to us. Saying these things, here's a scientific fact. Your brain doesn't know the difference between reality and fiction. It just knows what you're telling it. So if you tell yourself that you're rich, your brain starts acting in a rich manner. If you tell yourself that you're wealthy in knowledge, your brain starts acting as if you're wealthy in knowledge. If you tell yourself you're lazy, your brain that controls the rest of your body starts acting like you're lazy. This literally happened yesterday. Was it yesterday? Yes, yesterday. When I was running, it was yesterday because it's still in my storage for 24 hours. So it was less than 24 hours ago. So we went for a run. Now, it's like, oh my gosh, I can't run. I'm so tired. I can't do it. It was about to rain. I saw those black clouds coming. I had just washed my hair and just twisted it. And I had a cookout to go to. And I was like, I can't afford for my hair to get wet in this rain. I ran my 5th fastest time. Actually, ran it. My 5th fastest time. And you know what I was telling my body while I was running? Is knees, you got this. Because you know what was felt like was giving out me that I couldn't do it? My legs were feeling like they were about to give out and I couldn't do it. So I was like, I'm going to talk to my legs. Now, this is the importance of what you put in front of you. How did I think to talk to my legs? Because the day before I was listening to a podcast, and the person who's on a podcast it was Eric Thomas podcast I was listening to, S2S, which stands for success to something. I was listening to Eric Thomas, and he was saying that he talks to his knees, and he tells his knees, like, you got these knees. We got to push through this because this is the kind of body I want to have. And so I purposely put positive things in front of me and listening to positive things. And when I say positive, I like positive things that gives me actions to take. Right. So it's great if you want someone who's spiritually going to speak affirmations into you. But see, to me, affirmations only go so far if you don't know the actions. Where they say faith without the work, that's the action, that's the verb, is dead. So I need my faith to be combined with action. So when I'm listening to things, I need things that I'm listening to give me action steps. So he said, not only do you need to think positive, here's an example of how you think positive in real life, in real situations. So I applied that because he gave me an action, an example of how to put it into work. So I applied it. And when I was out there talking to my legs, guess what my legs did? Showed up. Now, this could be done a couple different ways. One thought is, my legs perform that way because no longer was I thinking about what they couldn't do. I was visualizing what they could do. That's the T. Are we sitting around visualizing what can't be done? I can't do this because I don't have this skill set because, or instead, are we telling ourselves, I will get this logo done? I will make 5 calls, and you see yourself positively picking up the phone. Hey, my name is, I am working on this, and I know that it will help you because you are this. And you picture the person saying, yes, that's a great idea. I would like to do this. That sounds good. Can you tell me a little more? And you picture yourself telling them a little more. So when you actually pick up the phone, you've already seen it happen. I've closed the deals. Because I literally walked myself through this entire presentation to a homeowner, and I saw them saying yes. I saw them answering questions and me effectively communicating the answer to them. And then when I actually got the call, guess what happened? That happened. I had saw it before I saw it. I saw and was telling my knees and my legs, let's go, let's get to it. So we must have the will, the motivation. We must have, let's go back to this definition right here, comes from drive and motivation fueled by your enemy. So I think a lot of times we look at enemies as a physical person, but your enemy could be your physical state that you're in. Like your enemy could, you know what my enemy is? This yard that don't have no fence on it. That's my enemy. I got to have a fence around this yard. You know what my enemy is? this freaking green carpet that's still in my house. I could go just get a fence and pay on it monthly. I don't want to. I could just go get this green carpet replaced and just pay a monthly payment. I don't want to. I probably should. Now, this is what I probably should do, is go get a quote and find out how much the monthly is and how much interest rate is. Because like my Audi truck interest rate is, I think, like a 2 point something, 3 point. It's like 2.9 or 3.2, somewhere between there is how much I'm paying for so at the end of my payments, I've paid, I know for sure it's less than $3,000 interest on this truck. So they send me, hey, you should refinance your truck. And I look at the interest rate they're giving. I'm like, what? You can't even, there's nothing right now that's going to offer me a better interest rate on my truck. It also doesn't make sense to me refinancing. And there's no rush to pay it off because I'm not paying more. Like, now I do have a credit card that went up to like 30%. I'm like, this got to go. Because I have my payment. More than half my payment is interest. I don't believe in that life. So it got to go. I got to pay it off. But my truck is like $5 to my whole payment is going towards interest. It's okay. It's okay. They can keep the $5. I know, no rush to pay it off. That's how I feel about, I need to go look at the fence and determine, like, is my interest rate going to be 2%? Am I going to be paying like $2 in interest? Then it's worth it. But if my interest, I'm be paying $100 in interest every month, I'm not doing it. So I am going to go quote that. Right, Trinette says her enemy is these dark brown accent walls in my house. But you have to find an enemy that keeps. So when I walk into my house and I'm like, I just can't make this call, or I'm having self-doubt, my internal enemy is me and my self-doubt, then I have to look at my yard and say, but nope, we got to get this. Or look at my truck and be like, nope, I got to get this electric car. Or I look at this green carpet like, nope, I'm about to make 3 more calls, because 3 more calls could give me $10,000. So really, I'm about to let this fear keep me from getting $10,000. Yeah, that's where I am now in life. But there used to be a fear when I was at $200. I can make an extra $200 right now if I just picked up the phone and asked somebody to host a party for me. And $200 is going to pay for back then it would pay for my grocery bills. Now, not so much. I went to get a couple things, it was $50. So I doesn't do the same as it used to do. But 12 years ago, $200 went way further. And I was going to let my internal enemy, my self-doubt, my lack of confidence and what I may say and how people may respond. Let's not even get into how people may respond. I had to check myself the other day. Like my daughter, I'm using her as a great example. I probably need to call her for this. She's with her dad. I probably need to call her and see what's going on with her, because she's on my mind. Clearly, I'm talking about her. But she gives raising a teenage daughter gives you great stories to tell, great examples to give. So I was listening to the podcast again, a whole other episode, and the guy was giving an example, and I hope this helps somebody. He was giving an example of his son. His son, main goal in life was to be an NFL player. And he didn't make it to the NFL. So what he did was he went and worked security. He created a security company. And he needed some money from his dad for something. His dad was like, I'm not supporting you when you're not even using your God-given talents. Like, because he was a big 6 foot something, 200, almost 300 pound football player, he's like, oh, I can go to security based on just the look and the size, and I'm gonna get these other people who didn't make it to the NFL with me to do it with me. And he was this is what his son was doing. His son was working with NBA players, so he was like taking pictures of him in the VIP, because he was at a club doing security for a club, and the guy was posting on his Instagram. It was like a big deal for him to be in these pictures with these athletes, these stars, and his dad was like, that was you were going for that goal, and now you're satisfied taking pictures with people who have reached the goal that you wanted. I was like, ooh, lay it out there. He's like, so I will support you to go after what. He's like, so what do you really? I want to play in the NFL. Why did you want to play in the NFL? And he started explaining like why he wanted. He said that why can be applied to something besides the NFL. Be a coach. The same why that you want to do the NFL, you can fulfill that same why by being a coach. He's like, well, if I'm a coach, I got to start from the bottom. Then start. So in less than 5 years, this guy went from being a volunteer coach. And what they did was they paid for him to complete his master's. So he got his master's for free, but he was coaching for free. So that was the payoff. Instead of a paycheck, he was getting his degree for free. In 5 years, he went from being paid nothing to now working as defensive coach for an NFL team. And his contract was for $1 million for 2 years. So he made $500,000 a year, $0 to $500,000 in a year. I'm gonna wrap this down because he's like, what are you talking about? Get to the point, Chris. Let me share it with you. So I just like, you know what? Let me go ask my daughter. She's going to be a senior this year. She's amazing at track off of her natural talents, but she's not phenomenal because she does not choose to apply herself and enhance her skills. She will continue to eat junk. If this girl stopped eating junk food, she'd go from third place to first place. She just won't do it. So I was like, what do you really want to go to college? And she's like, I don't. She's like, Mommy, I have no interest in college. I'm just doing it because everybody else says I need to do it. And she said, and what are they going to think about me? You know, my first thought was, fuck them. Fuck you. I said, who, at the end of the day, listen, if you fail or if you succeed in life, who's going to be there for you? Not these people, me. And if I'm supporting you to do what you want to do, then do it. It doesn't make any sense to me to continue to live your life based on what other people think when other people are not going to pay your bills. Other people don't know you. I've raised this child. I know what she's good at. Now, I'm not one of those parents who are going to be like, well, let them do what they want. No. If she was a kid who was going to go off to college and college fits her natural talents, then great. But right now, sending my baby to college, that's just now if they're going to give it to her for free, if she's going to earn a free ride, then I say, take a chance. Let's see if it works for free. But what we're not going to do is go in debt over something that you don't even believe in. You don't even see yourself being, you haven't had a track record. Listen to me, y'all. This is equivalent to, I want to make 6 figures and you haven't had a track record of showing up consistently for full 9 months. You don't make 6 figures in business when you can't show up for 9 months consistently. It doesn't add up. So I'm saying when I look at my daughter's track record for these last 3 years in high school, with living at home with me, with the support that I provide, it doesn't lead to success in college. So I don't care what these people think. If she decides to graduate, and I would much rather her graduate, go work some jobs and realize she don't like, and I had a discussion. I said, you're going to go, I was like, so what happens if you go work at Publix? I was like, because Publix, Chick-fil-A offers amazing, Geico offers amazing programs for high school to, you get a job, they'll pay for you to go to college to the next level if you get in there and prove yourself. I said, now while you're working at Publix, you decide like, I'm going to stay here 2 years. And I'm going to realize I don't like this about Publix. And I do like this about Publix. And then you take what you do like about Publix and you find something that's going to give you more of what you like and less of what you don't. But we spend so much time, listen, choose your enemies wisely. That's right, Shauna. You don't need a college degree to be successful. Let me tell you, I know, you know, we know so many people who go to college in their 20s, and I have nothing wrong with it, but I went to college, bachelor's, master's. So I have no problem with it, but you got to know what's best for you right now. Will she go and be 20, make some mistakes in her 20s and at 25 realize like, you know what? I probably should go to college. I probably should pursue this and be better off because she's going to pursue something that she knows she wants as opposed to being 20 and just going just to go. I'm not setting her up for no $20,000 in debt, drop out, realize this ain't for her. How many people we know go, realize it ain't for them, they got to come out. And guess the first, I was talking to a mom the other day. The first thing they get in the mail is that bill. Oh, because you dropped out, but you still got loans to pay. You get that Fannie Mae, whoever provides loans right now, and you got to pay it back. So my point is choosing your enemy wisely. Now, if she might still go to college, but it's just one discussion that we had. And it was good to see where her thought process was, where her mindset was, and why she was pursuing. Because I asked her, I said, what do you, when you wake up, and this is what I'd ask you to do. Right now, when you wake up, I said, you graduated high school. We give you a week to, get over the hoopla. You now moving money around. People gave you money and you got the gifts and all that. What do you see yourself doing? And she was like, I forget what answer she gave me. And I said, all right, so how are you going to accomplish that? And I framed it. I said, you could Publix, and this is what it'll do. Geico, this is what it'll do. I said, you can, without a shadow of a doubt, you'll be 18 coming out of college. You can go substitute, which is great money for an 18-year-old who ain't got no bills. You'll be making great money substituting. I said, and right now, you can go an alternative route to become an educator. You can start off in a daycare and make daycare for somebody who ain't got no bills is great money. And figure out you don't like it. Figure out I don't like working with these kind of people. Or you may love working with these kind of people. Mommy doesn't, but I can't put that on you. I worked in a daycare for when my daughter was little and I hated it, but it was a sacrifice I did so I could be in the same building with her and not have to pay for her daycare expenses, because daycare was expensive 16 years ago. I don't even talk about what it is now. And we can go from there, but I just don't believe in, and then choose your enemy. For you, the people who are going to look at you and think, oh, she should have did this, she should have did that, and that's not what you want to do, use them as your enemies. And actively work to prove a point. There is some people be like, oh, you need to go to counseling. That's not the way you do it. All right, keep thinking that way. But when I'm in a room with successful people, if we're talking about money being equal to success, when I'm in a room with successful people who have the kind of lifestyle I want to live, their mindset matches that. They pick an enemy and they go destroy it, whatever that is. If that enemy is family who don't believe in them, they destroy their family by being super successful. If that was a teacher who said you ain't going to be nothing, they destroy that teacher by being successful. As opposed to internalizing those things that people are saying about you and actually living up to what they're saying. That's the T. So here's some questions that they ask you at the end of this book. Because the next 2 points I'm not going to get into is emotional fuel and strategic enemy selection. Now, I will say this. It says, choose your enemies wisely to match your business goals and personal growth objective. A well-chosen enemy not only presents a significant challenge, but also aligns with your mission, driving you to develop both the wheels and the skills required for success. The wheel and the skills required for success. And what's the next thing we got to do is take action on it. We are in a time where if there's any skill that you fall short of, there is free training out there to get it done. All right. So here's at the end of this chapter, I'm going to share with you because he goes and I just talked about will and skill. This chapter also includes, let's go over here. These 3 parts, because the chapter is broken down into 9. So he talks about enemy and competition, will and skill, mission and plan. Next time, when I come back next week for Tuesday Tea, is either dreams and systems, culture and team, vision and capital. All right. So choose your enemies wisely. So at the end of this chapter, which will be on page 114, he breaks down some questions for you to ask yourself. These are your blocks, all right? If some actions you can take if you want to build your will, if you need to build your motivation, your internal motivation, ask yourself, what makes you want success so badly? I will put this in my Facebook group after the Tuesday Tea. I'll put these questions to ask yourself to the actions. Let me rephrase this. I'll put these questions in here that will, when you answer them, you'll know what actions to take. There it is. All right. And so there's questions. There's 6 questions for actions. What makes you want success so badly, and what's your plan to convert want power to willpower? Oh, that's the T. Convert what you want power into your willpower. That's going from talking about what we want to actually taking action on what we want. Oh, that's the T. All right, number 2. What do you fear most? What thoughts or emotions make you so emotional that you want to do everything in your power to avoid feeling them? What 3 words don't you ever want to hear said about you? Ooh, these are good questions. How can you lead in such a way that elicits willpower in others? People who have teams and say, my team is lazy, my team don't want to do nothing, my team don't. What willpower? I believe this is matched with a skill. Like, what skill do you need to learn as a leader that's going to elicit willpower in others? What's going to make them move? 6, what patterns and limiting beliefs do you see in yourself? And what will you do? Or will you seek for guidance? Or who will you seek for guidance to be the one to stop them? What will you do, if I just summarize that? What will we do to limit our limiting beliefs, to erase, eradicate, and get rid of our limiting beliefs? And it says, or will you seek for guidance? Because sometimes the trauma that has led to our limiting beliefs is not something we can fix on our own. Now, that is the will, the actions to take, the questions to ask yourself to improve your will. Now, for skill, there's 7 questions. Who do you need to be to hit next year's forecast? If I tell you something and you ask, Christy, how did you get to the level of success that you have right now? How did you gain the confidence to speak on this? It is because I looked at people who had what I wanted and I said, where am I lacking? Like, I'm smart like they smart. I'm resourceful like they resourceful. What is it that I'm lacking? And I spent time working on those things. So you have to ask yourself, what 3 to 5 skill sets are required? Not, I can't do this. That ain't me. No, if I want it and I see everybody in the marketplace who's hit it, have this, either I'm going to say, you know what? This ain't for me because I'm not willing to work for it, or this is for me, I'm going to work for it. But I'm not going to keep showing up to trainings and paying thousands of dollars only to hear the same thing I need to work on and keep not listening to those things I need to work on and then wondering why I can't be successful because I haven't put in the work to fix that skill. Everybody else who got what I want, who's living the lifestyle, I want time freedom, but I don't want time freedom and be broke. I want time freedom to be able, and then with that free time, be able to do what the hell I want to do when I want to do it and money not be an issue. I want to be able to have time freedom and be able to do whatever I want, and my kids are set up and their kids are set up. I don't want to have to go without what I want because I need to set my kids up. I want both, and I believe I can have both. So what do I need to prove on? Now, let me keep reading these questions. These are things I ask yourself, right? What type of skills or training will you commit to that has the potential to change your identity? Where do your leaders or team members lack skills? How will you address them? In skills, where do your leaders or team members lack skills? How will you address them? I say to myself, okay, they don't know how to talk to people. Let me train on that. Okay, now, if I'm telling them to read books, I can't make people read books, but I can at least be able to give them, I see the place that's lacking. Let me work on that. For skills you're not going to address yourself, how will you delegate or who will you recruit? That's the thing. There are some things I'm not doing that. But let me become the person that someone who is good at that would want to follow. Y'all catch that? There are some things, let's just throw something out there. Like, let's say I'm never going to be a good speaker. Presenting is not my thing. But what kind of leader do I need to be where I will attract people who are good speakers who will train my team. Not, I can't, don't nobody want to help me. Are you the kind of person that somebody would want to help? If not, become the kind of person that people, you don't have to be great at all things, but you do have to be the kind of person that will attract the people who are great at the things. So number 4 says, for skills you're not going to address yourself. Like you're like, yeah, I ain't doing that. How will you delegate, or who will you recruit that's going to do that? 5, what choices will you make after looking at your performance versus trust matrix? That's in the book, the performance versus trust matrix. Who will you invest in, and which skills will you emphasize? Right now, I have a conference that I'm speaking at, first week of June. And I know this conference will benefit some people. So guess what? I'm checking with them. I checked with 2 of them this morning to see if they were available to attend this conference. I'm going to pay for their tickets. I know what they're great at, and what they're great at is not what I'm great at. Will they win by being at this conference? Absolutely, they will win. They will. It's a win-win situation. They're going to walk away a better person with the information that's going to be provided at this conference, and I will walk away with a person who will be able to fulfill the areas I'm not great in. So I am willing to invest in them. Business write-off. I'm willing to pay for their ticket to attend this conference because their skills, I will be able to emphasize their skills, and it will benefit us both. Number 6, fill in the blank. I want my reputation to be defined by the words. When people speak about you in rooms that you're not in, what words would they describe you as? Is that the words you want to be described as? Then keep doing what you're doing. If it's not, work on it. Number 7, fill in the blanks. If I keep having a reputation for filling your biggest weakness, if I keep having a reputation for being late, let's say your biggest weakness is being late. If I keep having a reputation for being late, I won't get to the next level, which will nullify all my hard work. I will address this deficiency by. Oh, this sounds like a whole lot of taking responsibility to me. That's what it sounds like to me. All right, I'm going to post all these questions. Now, you should just go get the book. Choose your enemies wisely. Business planning for the audacious few. Now, he defines everybody not going to do this. Everybody's not going to be willing to put in the work. Everybody's not going to be willing to make the changes, but the audacious few will be. So if you ever are sitting in a space in life and you're like, how is it that I can't get this? It's maybe because you're not willing to do the things the audacious few are willing to do. And if this is you and you're willing to do it, drop in the comments that you want to join my After the Tuesday Tea Facebook group. I'm going to put these questions in there, and you can just go buy the book yourself. On page 113, the questions are in there. All right. I love y'all. I will see you back here next Tuesday for the Tuesday Tea with me, Christy. And don't forget, go over there to The Christy Farmer on YouTube, like and subscribe, and you can catch up all of my Tuesday teas that I have done this year. I think most all of them from this year are on there now. The last 3 years, I'm still working on uploading that. Work in progress. All right. I'll probably pay somebody one day. Bye.